Today's video is going to go over how to install the FAH client on Ubuntu. If you don't have the operating system installed, please look at part 1. So we're going to start with going to the search menu and going to terminal. Many of these same commands will be able to be used on Mint. I just prefer using Ubuntu, so for the video we will use Ubuntu. All of these commands will be down below in the video notes, so please refer to it when copying and pasting. So the first one is sudo add-apt-repository. Then you will add ppa:/graphics-drivers/ppa. This is going to allow the repository to the NVIDIA drivers. Then it's going to ask you for your password. Go ahead and type in your password, press enter, and then press enter again as long as you see the screen. Then do a sudo apt-get update. Once the update is complete, go ahead and exit terminal, go back to the launcher, and look for additional drivers. When you click on additional drivers, it should automatically pop up to the additional drivers tab. Then you're going to see some various NVIDIA drivers. Now for all of my rigs, I've been using 384 because that one seems to work the best. 387 I had some problems with points per day being a little bit lower. But 390 just came out, so we're going to actually go ahead and try this one. If you have any issues with 390 or you want to play it safe, you can always change your driver later on. Then down here in the unknown CPU processor, I always go ahead and use the firmware from Intel. Then hit apply changes. It's going to ask you for a password. And once you authenticate, it's going to take some time to install these drivers. We're going to go ahead and fast forward the video, but this can usually take somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes, depending on your computer. Once it's complete, it should show a restart button there. Go ahead and restart. After the restart, you'll notice that the resolution's a little bit better. That's because the drivers are kicked in now. So we need to download a couple programs here, and these will all also once again be in the video notes. So go to your Firefox, and the first one you want to go to is folding.stanford.edu. Once you're on this page, hit the Start Folding Now, and then hit the Download Now. On this page, you're going to see 3 downloads for Ubuntu. You want to save all of these to file. Now we need to download the Python support 1.0.15 file. So go ahead and go to the link that's found in the video notes and save this file. Once all your downloads are complete, you can exit out of Firefox. Those are the only 4 downloads we're going to need. Now at this time, since this is a dedicated folding rig, I like to remove all this stuff on the left hand side and only add the programs that are needed. So if you go to the launcher, you're going to want terminal. So go ahead and click it, right click it, and lock it to the launcher. And then another program you're going to want is the NVIDIA server settings. Go ahead and click that, and right click this one to lock to the launcher as well. That'll be it for the time being. We can go ahead and keep terminal up because that's what we're going back to. And you want to CD to your downloads folder. If you don't know how to do that, go ahead and go to your downloads folder, right click any of those and go to properties. The location right there you want to go ahead and copy. You can go ahead and select it all and do a Control C. And for those of you unfamiliar with terminal, you can't do a Control paste in there. So you actually have to right click and paste. So hit CD, space, right click, paste that location in, go ahead and press enter. Now we're going to be working in that folder. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the FAH client itself. This command is going to be in the video notes below, but you need to unpack the download that we did earlier. Once you have the command typed out exactly as you see it above, press enter and it'll ask for a password. This should be the last time you need to put your password in terminal. For this next part of the video, we will go under the assumption that you already have your FAH credentials. If you don't, please view the Windows manual setup video, and at the beginning of it, we show you how to get a username. So I look for my config file from the folding browser, and that's going to have my passkey, my team number, and my username in it. Easy to copy and paste. So first I select my username, and I copy that, and go back over to terminal. Under terminal, it has the default of anonymous. Go ahead and backspace this all, right click, and paste this in. Then hit the down arrow and go to OK. Now it's going to ask for your team number, and you want to do team 224497. That's the KeerCoin team. Hit the down arrow and press OK. Now it's going to ask for your passkey, and as you could see in the previous slide, I went ahead and blacked out my passkey because you don't want to share that with anybody. But it is found right behind this black bar on your config file from your folding browser. So go ahead and copy your passkey over, and then paste it on over. If this is a dedicated folding machine, please set this to full and then in the next section, go ahead and have it automatically start. Once it's done with that, it's going to run through some additional prompts in the terminal. Now, pretty much for the remainder of the video is just going to be various terminal commands. All of these are going to be in the video notes. So at each section, please go ahead and pause as you need to while you're following along putting these terminal commands in. Now that those are all done, we need to go ahead and edit the config file. So you want to do a sudo gedit and then go to the location of your FAH client config file. In this section, we can remove a lot of this top information. So I always remove the client control and the folding slot configuration. After that is removed, go ahead and make your top portion look identical to the way I'm doing it right now. So in the folding slot section, this can be different depending on what kind of setup you'd like. The default is having the CPU run, and this is a slot ID of 0. You can go ahead and just copy this, press enter, and paste it in, and when you have a GPU, you need to change the type to GPU and the slot ID to 1. If you have additional GPUs, you would make them 2, then 3, and so forth. If you just want to do folding on your GPU, rather than copying and pasting this in, you should keep it the way it was originally and simply change CPU to GPU, leaving the slot ID as 0. Once you're done with this, you need to hit save in the upper right hand corner, and after hitting save, you will see a prompt go on the terminal. This basically means that your settings have been approved. Go ahead and select the X, and then type reboot in terminal, and wait for your machine to reboot. Now that your system is rebooted, go up to the launcher, type in FAH, and click FAH control. This is also another program you're going to want to lock to the launcher. Now that that's locked to the launcher, go ahead and maximize your FAH control, and you're pretty much done, but we'll go over a couple things. The first thing I want to talk about is if this is a dedicated folding machine, you really need to consider doing this Ubuntu installation, as your points per day production is probably going to be about 20% higher than it would be on Windows. The next thing to note is the points per day right now only say 1900. That's just because the computer's loading for the first time. By the end of the video, you will see the production go up to what it's supposed to be. Another note is if you're doing multiple folding at home rigs, you might want to consider putting the 4 download files from earlier onto a flash drive, so that way you can easily put them on each rig. Now going back to the FAH client, we can see that the points per day has gone up to 1 million. Now let's talk about desktop sharing. Desktop sharing will be a good way to be able to actually restart and configure your Ubuntu machine from one location. Ubuntu has a really easy way of doing desktop sharing. As you can see, I went to the launcher, typed in desktop sharing, and I allow other users to view my desktop. I take away the need for them to confirm each time because I'm not obviously on those machines, and then I require a password to access the machine. This will allow you to control this Ubuntu machine from another Ubuntu machine relatively easy. If you're trying to control it from a Windows machine, you need to look into XRDP to be able to get them to talk to each other. So going into the system settings, I also like to make sure that the screen turns off after 5 minutes. This is a default setting and it will also require the password. This allows the computer to automatically load when restarted, so that way the FAH client will load. But at the same time, after 5 minutes, it will still come to a lock screen, so nobody can access your computer without the password. That's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions or concerns, please join our Discord and talk to the folding community as they're very helpful. Thanks everybody and happy folding.